Today, we continue our journey with the metal band Raunchy, listening to I guess this will be the third video in the series, but we've got a little splaining to do, Lucy. So this is a Discord Electric. Hello everybody and welcome back to another album review / reaction, another video in our series of videos featuring one of my favorite bands of all time, my favorite metal band of all time, although honestly Mook is coming up a high second. You know, they've been kind of fighting for each other, and the more I learn about Mook and the more of their stuff I actually acquire, they're kind of pulling ahead. There's a much larger catalog. But again, quantity does not necessarily equate to quality, of course. But anyway, we're here to discuss Raunchy, and the first thing we have to say is I have to say, I feel great today. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Everything's working good so far. I feel great. However, even though I'm feeling really good, I done a really bad thing. And we done messed up. And this is the first video we are doing that is sort of a redo of a previous video, a previous 3 wonderful, glorious hours that the 3 of us got together and talked about this wonderful Raunchy album, Raunchy as a band, music in general, metal in general, all sorts of amazing conversations. Some
neat show and tell.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. We missed out
Correct.
on that.
So the first thing I have to say is we already recorded this video and my audio track did not record. I'm looking over. I see everything recording. Cody, you didn't tell me to turn my lights on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. I'll get to it later or I won't. But we've got this great 3-hour video that we recorded all about this album and again, like music, metal music, everything in general. And my track was not recorded the entire time. I had no backup going. Sometimes when I record, I have an additional microphone way off to the side and I'm just recording as a stereo and I just throw that track away in my, just in case. But I have not had that microphone hooked up now for a couple of months. And so it was all 100% my fault. And I feel really bad because of the 3 videos we've done like this so far. And I feel specifically the combination of you two specifically, which if you're just joining us here, this is my cousin Cody, no relation. And this down here is my friend Chris, Chris part 2 or whatever we call him, Remote Chris.
Remote Chris, yeah.
And it was great because you guys talked a lot more in that video. Like I could look at your waveforms and see, and it wasn't just me talking for 2 hours. There was a lot of really good conversation. We talked about a lot of different things like we always do in our videos. And so I feel so bad, so terrible. I was like, I quit. I'm done with the channel that day. I called both Cody and Chris. I was like, this is the end of the world. It's over. I hate everything. And then 2 hours later, I was like, all right, we're going to make up for this. We're going to listen to some songs they hadn't heard yet on the album. And so this video is going to be a makeup video. But I want to just tell everyone right away, if I can find conversations and things from that video where Cody and Chris were talking to each other, I'm going to just randomly put them in this video.
Not even Atomic Bob. Like, Atomic Bob makes sense.
Also, we have a 3-hour video. So, you know, right now over here in the corner of this video, down here in this corner, throughout this video, I'm just going to throw that other video in there. Probably just silent, but like people are going to see the effort we put into it, damn it. You know, I haven't edited the video, obviously, because I wouldn't waste my time doing that. I did think it might be kind of funny to actually release the video without my audio in it, to give everybody what they want is me shutting up.
I was waiting for an opportunity to make this joke.
Yeah. And so I debated about doing that as a joke, and I was like, why waste all that time? I'm not going to do that. So this video is going to be kind of mixed up. They've already mentioned it. One of the things we did at the beginning of that video was we did a bit of a show and tell, and that was mostly each of us talking ourselves about our respective projects. So I'm going to include that part in the video as well. Cody showed off a really cool alarm clock that he had bought.
Oh, it's still right. It's right here.
Yeah, that one. And he pushed a button on it, and we ended the video with it, and it was absolutely hilarious. That's how we're going to end this video, too, because I still got that audio. And then Chris was talking about some awesome speakers with a laser-type doodad. And so I'm going to just include those conversations at some point in the video. I don't know if I'll include them right here at the beginning, because we're a bit on a roll and I want to get through this video pretty fast. But I'll include them somewhere, maybe at the end. And then I spent a big chunk of time in that video going through like 2 big sacks of CDs that I bought that day at 2 thrift stores in David City, Nebraska. And I've already re-recorded that, and I'm going to release that as a separate video that everyone can ignore on the channel at some point.
Nice.
So
and
got
boy,
that.
will they?
Yeah, for sure. Cody might watch it at some point. But,
I love that.
But he was there. Yeah, but he was there, so he doesn't have to.
We learned about the band that has been in existence for like 85 years or something.
Yeah, it was I forget what it was, but it was a group of only blind jazz blues musicians.
That's right.
Yeah.
So strange.
It's all in the video I re-recorded.
Wikipedia says active from 1939 to present.
For who?
The Blind Boys of Alabama. They were formed in Alabama in the 30s.
There's barely any actual people who are 1939 to present.
That they're blind. Okay, I think it is. There was one. Okay, so there was a guy, Clarence Fountain, was one of the original members. He was in the group until 2018. Okay. So he was in that group for 80 years.
Wow. Wow. Was he like born and then it just like out playing guitar? Like,
yeah. Well, he was just a blind boy when they started. Now he's a blind 100-year-old man.
So this is going to be kind of a weird video. I'll include stuff down in the corner here throughout the video. If we talk about something, I'm not going to go through and listen to the entire 3 hours, but when I see you guys talking, if there's a big chunk where we're saying stuff and it pertains to what we're saying in this video, I might make some notes and throw some stuff in there. But for the most part, I trust us to do a good video today. And I'm really excited because since we had the extra time over the last 2 weeks, we were trying to get together to record this video last week, but Chris was busy, and so Cody and I got together and recorded one of the best reactions we ever recorded here on the channel. It was a reaction to the Beatles remixed 2017 version of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and it was the first time I'd ever heard a Beatles album, first time I'd ever heard that album in particular. And it was honestly like one of the best reactions we've ever recorded. It was so fantastic. I adored the album. Sorry to spoil for everybody, but I adored it. That video will already be out on the channel before this one comes out, so if that sounds interesting to you, please go check that out. But anyway, we're here this week. We're going to do this video some justice, and we're going to have some fun, and I took it upon myself to do a little extra work for this video, so we've got something fun to go over later, but we'll get to that later. For now, I want to tell you guys, my notes are over there. Let me bring up the album here, and I've just brought up Spotify, so if my voice starts doing that thing, too bad.
It's been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Has it really been doing it the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we are recording again. Let me just double check here and make sure. I'm in 1, Cody's in 2, Chris is in 3, desktop audio is in 4. Spotify's 5, Fubar is 6. Okay. All right. Okay, everybody, I feel slightly less awesome now because I had to restart my computer, and I was in a fit of rage while I was gone. I poured my drink out, so whoopie-doo. I have a Mountain Dew Code Red. I'm sure you all gave many craps about that. But anyway, as I was saying, we're very excited. In the last video, we're here to talk about Raunchy. I just opened Spotify again, so don't freak out, everybody. We talked about and we listened to a majority of the album A Discord Electric, which is their, fifth album? It would actually be... We got Velvet Noise. I haven't actually been thinking about the raunchy aspect of this video too much. We got Velvet Noise, Confusion Bay, Death Pop Romance, Wasteland Discotheque, and then we are on to the third album with Casper Thompson as the vocalist, doing the harsh vocals. You guys, in the previous video, part 2, which is up already by the time this part is being posted, you guys heard Death Pop Romance and Wasteland Discotheque. Cody did not care for Casper Thompson's screaming vocals as much as Lars. He liked Lars's a little bit better. And then both of you took a little while to warm up to it, but I think by the time we got done with Wasteland Discotheque, you guys were excited. And so that took us to when we listened to this album the first time. And so you guys both really enjoyed pretty much everything we heard off of this album, which is kind of a bummer that we lost all that. But for everyone watching, we listened to the songs track 2, Rumors of Worship, track 4, Street Emperor, track 6, Shake Your Grave, track 8, Big Truth, track 9, Great Depression, and then we ended with track 11, Ire Vampire, the fast, most metal song that Raunchy, I think, had maybe done up to that point. The fastest, most heaviest song on this album, at least. So this video, we are going to listen to track 4, Street Emperor, again, because that is my favorite guitar riff of all time, and I just want to be able to share that song with everybody in this video. And then we are also going to listen to then 2 brand new songs that you guys have not heard. We are going to listen to their big single off of this album, which we skipped last time because it's not my favorite song, certainly off this album, Nght Party, which is track 3. And then we'll probably end the video or whatever with Blueprints for Lost Sounds, which is track 5. And then Chris, before you got on the video, Cody and I were talking about would it behoove us to go through and listen to that song that is an abomination and the worst thing ever created by man, that really happy fast song, Big Truth.
I liked that song.
I know, we all did. All 3 of us did. So I don't know if it would benefit us in the last. Sorry, everybody watching this video. We are going to be referencing the previous time we recorded this whole video a lot. And it's so I don't want it to make it seem like you guys are, I mean, you're missing out on probably a better video than this one's going to be. Probably. But we talked about so many things in that video. And one of the things that I brought up is one of the things we've been talking about throughout this series of videos, and that is the website nocleansinging.com, where someone, the editors of that website, that blog, sort of music metal review channel, gave this new intern guy the faux task of doing a review for every one of Raunchy's albums. We talked about it in the last 2 videos, and we talked about it a little bit when we recorded this video the first time, because one of the songs on this album, he said, is an affront to all music and is an abomination, and no one should ever be forced to listen to it. And so, of course, we listened to it and loved the song. Mm-hmm. So, and that song, for anyone watching, is called Big Truth, and it is track 8. I don't know if we're going to listen to that one or not. It does have, by far, the least amount of plays on the album, so we'll see how you guys are feeling. I want to make sure we get through the new songs and we talk about this other stuff I want to get to as well. Maybe before we decide to do that. If we want to, maybe we'll end the video on that song.
All right.
This is like modern songs.
Now this is Sonic ending credits. I love it. So many bands I like do this all the time. Like, it's fun. Oh, this is awesome. Yes, he would. That guy reviewing this album takes his life way too seriously. You cannot have spent all this time being mad and be like, no, this song's not good either.
No, it's fun. I see what you mean. It's really fit with the rest of their. It really is.
I don't.
Sometimes you can hear their accent a little bit too.
That's fun.
It's like so.
Yeah. I would not listen to a band that only made this type of song. What'd you say? Oh.
Is this all of Raunchy's next album?
And there's nothing wrong with this is. Yeah, see, this is why. You can always tell this is in there somewhere, or it's coming.
Catchiest song so far.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. If they keep weaving the metal bits into it, then it's awesome.
Yeah.
But if it were to just abandon that and just be really hyper saccharine and never let up, it would be too much. But weaving the metal bits in, it's you can always tell, even at every part of that song, that metal is just a single change away. It's never too far out of the picture.
So far, I want to thank Raunchy for allowing these videos to be posted with the music. Only 200 people have watched the first part as of us recording this, which is really terrible, but that's kind of what I was expecting. And this is just kind of time for us to have fun. I'm hoping these videos maybe catch on a little bit more, and then people will maybe search for Raunchy on YouTube and not find very much, because there sure isn't anything out there. and as Raunchy is getting ready to release their new album later this year, maybe our videos will be ones that come up organically, and people will
ahead
maybe
of the curve.
Well, that's what I wanted to do. I want to explain, who is Raunchy is what another way we could title these videos. Mm-hmm. So I want to start this video off by just listening to a song you guys haven't heard yet. So pull up Spotify and let us listen to track 3, the big single off this album, Nght Party.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is Nght Party. Big song, big single, the only one that really got any push. And so funny to look at the playlist, the numbers of plays on this album, because this has 1 million, almost 1.5 million. The first track has 718,000, which is ridiculous for that kind of lame song. And then the rest of the album, which is, in my opinion, phenomenal. I've said before, this is a 10 out of 10 perfect album. There's way less plays, so it's really, really interesting and kind of a bummer. I
feel like the first track probably has that many plays just because of people starting the album.
People start on track 1, exactly. It's just unfortunate they don't go to track 2 or any of the other album. So,
right.
Because it is just a very long intro song, so it's kind of like whatever. But, okay, this is, however, their big single, Nght Party, spelled out like texting speech, no vowels in there. In 3, 2, 1. So let me know what you guys think as we're listening to it.
Love that synth. Sounds great. Ooh.
I'm curious if you guys... Yeah, I'm curious if you guys legitimately like this one, because it is everyone's favorite. So.
That riff is very Megadeth, I think.
Oh, interesting. Okay. It certainly feels like this one's a little higher key.
This is great.
Good, I'm glad. If I remember correctly, this one has a pretty badass bridge, so...
Nice. Ooh, low guitar every time. Give it, or piano, give it here.
I love how everything kind of goes away there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a weird thing to do in the second chorus. And again, the clean vocals all done by Jeppe Christensen, and maybe a little bit of background by Casper, but mostly the singing cleans are done by him. Okay, here we go.
St. Anger bass style there.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff in this.
Yeah. Such an interesting riff. Just a pattern.
I love the really like super quick little
Yeah.
flurry there at the end of that bit.
Low piano note.
Boom.
Yeah. Key change. There might be some strummed acoustic guitar in there. Maybe not. Listen to all that low frequency on this guitar, Chris.
None?
Oh no, there's a lot there. Every time you can really hear that string sound, it's there, trust me.
I see. I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to notice if you're not really looking for it, but I've been messing around with some music stuff recently, and that's something that's been brought to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, that's good to know.
I'm going to sit back.
Point out.
I'm going to sit back for a little bit, and I want you guys to talk about what you heard there. When we did all of the songs previously, we talked about the mix a lot, of course, spread out across the album like we always do in our videos. So don't worry about what you guys said last time. We're starting a new conversation now. How do you feel about the mix, about the song? How do you feel about it?
I think it sounds great. There's not really anything that I could point to as a complaint about. Like, the bounce is good, vocals are good, the highs are in there where they belong. Sounds great.
We talked about in the previous video, not the one that was missing, but in part 2 of a Raunchy video where we went over Wasteland Discotheque and Death Pop Romance. We liked, Chris, you actually thought that you enjoyed the way, you thought you liked the way that the first of those two albums, Death Pop Romance, was mixed a little bit more than Wasteland Discotheque. which surprised me at the time because I thought Wasteland Discotheque was a little bit more crisp and clear and everything was a little bit more isolated. But I think if I remember in that video, you like the lows a little bit more and you just like the mix a little bit better. And so when we did record this video last time, I spent quite a long time explaining how I love the mix of this album. I actually think it may be one of the best sounding metal albums I've ever heard because of that, the utilization of what we refer to as that disco smile. There's lots of highs, there's lots of nice sub frequencies and lows, but there's not this buildup of these chunky middle frequencies from like 2 to 500 hertz. There's not this giant buildup of those. And so I could see where someone could listen to this and think the mix overall sounds a little thin, maybe compared to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I do really like the mix a lot, and I think there are some really awesome, huge moments on the album. And it's also mixed very dynamically as well, where it gets louder and quieter. And you really notice when instruments and things go away. Whereas when you're listening to something that's really overcompressed, you don't necessarily notice when things come in and go out of a song as much, because everything's just the same volume attacking you the entire time. And with this, you can really you really notice when something is there that hasn't been there before because of the dynamics of the mix, and then just how it also just fits into the mix as well. Cody, how did you feel about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded pleasant, sure. You know, that's not really my forte, but
Right.
you know, the so which vocalist is this again? I can't remember.
There's
which is
two.
which.
There's two vocalists.
Okay.
One guy named Casper who does the screaming vocals,
Yeah.
all the like harsh stuff. Which in this song there really wasn't that much. He was more
Right,
like he was actually. There was a few heavy, like sort of more metal parts,
Yeah.
but a lot of what he was doing during the verses was kind of over a guitarless part. You know, this is definitely the least heavy song on the album, minus that Big Truth one.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily say it's the poppiest song, but it definitely isn't super heavy. And like I said when the song started, I do think it is a bit of a higher key. So, you know, but then the other vocalist that does all the clean vocals is the same guy that's been doing them since their first vocalist, Lars, who did both cleans and he was just the only vocalist basically for their first two albums. He left, and then they got a new guy to do the harsh vocals, Casper, and then Jeppe Christensen, who plays keyboards in the band, who does a lot of their songwriting as well, along with the other guitar players and the other members of the band. He does all of the clean vocals. And Casper does some kind of shouty, screamy, sort of clean vocals on the album. And then one of the things I did say when we recorded last time was I found videos online. I went and looked on YouTube and tried to find as much about Raunchy as I could, and there's just really nothing about them online really at all. And especially on YouTube, they do have some interesting stuff on their channel of like old like documentaries, like making of their earlier albums and stuff, which is really cool. It's all terrible quality, but what was I talking about their YouTube channel for? Oh, sorry. But anyway, oh, that's right. Live, any of the like live footage I saw of them which was all mainly from like people who went to their shows and just recorded them with a camera or whatever at the time. It was mainly Casper doing the clean vocals along with Jeppe doing them live as well. But Casper just is on stage with the microphone and he basically never stops singing the entire time. So he does all the screaming stuff. And then when they get to the choruses and it's the big happy sounding part, like in this song, he also basically just sings that too. So I think they have quite a bit of a different show live, especially than what we're hearing here. But again, for me personally, that's right up my alley. I like it when a band is a studio band. Yeah. And then they can also be great live too, but I like when they focus on the studio part of it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We didn't listen to that song last time because it's not my favorite. And I do really like that guitar riff during the bridge, which Chris, you totally nailed it. It is a Saint Anger sound. The don da 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 don don da da da.
No, that was a very Megadeth riff.
No, that was the first part where you were talking about it at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Because it was just the bass in that one section that I thought sounded like Saint
Right,
Anger.
but when you said that, I was like, oh, why does this sound so different? And I think it's because they were playing the way they were playing. I think it was the open strings and also the way the bass was sounding as well. But I just think that is a very Saint Angry riff.
Sure.
And so when you said that immediately, I was like, oh, that's totally what this is. Now, of course, for me personally, I've been listening to this album for a decade longer since I heard Saint Anger last year, but
Right.
which is kind of funny. But now that I've heard Saint Anger and I get it, well, no one actually gets that album.
I get it. I love that
But
album.
now that I've heard Saint Anger, I can use it as a point of reference like that, and that's absolutely what this kind of was evoking during the bridge there.
I have a really hard time when people ask, what's something that you love that you know is bad? And I always think, I only love good things. But I will try to remember to say Saint Anger the next time somebody asks.
Yeah,
me that.
for sure. Absolutely, and that's just the way it goes. Because I think
there's all sorts of stuff that I love that is bad.
yeah, but is it really
that's
bad?
great.
Yeah, I can pretty much objectively say like tons of movies that are just terrible that I love.
That's
Fantastic.
That's true. Movies would be probably the easiest thing to do.
Music,
that with.
not so much. I can't. It's really hard to have an appreciation for like weird bad music the same way you can have an appreciation for weird bad movies.
So true. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to turn my volume down here a little bit. Yes, I think we're good. Also, like a movie is a chunk of time, but it's certainly not as much as like a video game or a book. You would never subject yourself to something that is bad if it was a book or a video game, unless it's like a quick indie game or something. But with music, it can be so short that you can make it through stuff. We listened to Lulu, so we made it through.
Boy, did we.
Now, no one's going to say that's good or that it's, anyone's favorite guilty pleasure or anything. No one would ever say that.
Yeah.
But,
you can sit back and listen to Lulu and be like, and laugh at it and be like, this is bad,
Right.
and have a good time. But I feel like movies can be like, it's so bad it's good, whereas music really, it's just bad.
I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Like I would go watch a really so bad it's good movie on my own, but I wouldn't listen to Lulu on my own.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
nobody would.
No,
It's
no
like
one
in
should-
Community when they talk about how, when Ovid's talking about how like some actors are like so good, like he's really good in a bad way and he's really bad in a good way.
Yeah.
It's I love Nicolas Cage movies,
I
Yeah.
think that's what he's
Johnny
talking
Depp.
about.
Yeah.
He does a
Good in a bad way.
whole episode where he's teaching about Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah.
He
Okay.
takes over his. He
it's-
takes
oh,
over
man.
his. Yeah. He also the Who's the Boss episode too. Oh,
Both classics.
so good. Everything about it.
Incredible.
But like Raunchy though, not a guilty pleasure. I think we've all discovered at this point that they are a legitimate band, even if
Yeah.
some people think they have a stupid name. So that's not what we're talking about here. Even though like it's just so funny because I think Cody, if you and I don't want to say that you're like that. There's a part of you that. How do I word this? Without
Go
sounding
ahead.
I think
wanna
you're dumb.
like I feel like there's a context missing to this. Like most, and for Chris, maybe even a little context missing too, because Chris listens to Japanese metal and stuff like I do too. But like most metal guys, if you show them the song we just heard, they definitely would not think it was a metal song, and they would be offended that it sounded so happy. Like,
Yeah.
it just is a
Because
thing.
they take themselves too seriously, which is like one
Is
of
it
the
like-
least metal things they could do.
But also,
Would they say it's like trying to be commercial?
I mean, I
Or-
think that would probably be the crux
Maybe,
of the
yeah.
argument, but I think it's just the fact that it's so happy sounding. I mean, it is
Yeah.
legitimately happy sounding.
Yeah.
Going, "Now
It's
I
catchy,
am
it's fun.
down," right? Like you could dance to it. Whereas so much metal is coming from a place of like aggression and anger and angst and sadness, and this is still heavy, but it comes from a place of having fun, which is what I said in every one of these videos. And there's so few metal bands proportionately that are fun, that aren't necessarily trying to be funny, but that still give off the fun vibes, And if such a huge amount of metal is super sad and weighty and heavy, and I love that stuff too. A majority of the metal I listen to is this dark, probably somewhat depressing stuff. And Raunchy to me just stands out like this shining beacon though of like let's have fun, but while still being really heavy and also super technical at times. And so that's why I think maybe trying to be poppy isn't the way that, or trying to like be more accessible isn't what someone could say about this, because there was still a lot of technical stuff going on there too. So I don't.
But yeah, it's undoubtedly catchy. And I think that it's interesting. All of those descriptors fit Protest the Hero pretty well too.
Right, and I think you've brought them up in every one of these videos, and so it's like we definitely need to do some more some Protest the Hero for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, as far as I understand, they are definitely one of your favorite bands.
I think that's true.
Right?
I
mean,
would
you
say
talked
that, yeah.
about them a lot when we did the music room, but I don't know if we ever actually listened to a song of theirs. But
I've got like at least 2 albums, 3 albums that I just are just flawless, fantastic albums.
now, Cody, are they a band that would be big enough that you would have heard of them before we started doing all these? Protest the
never.
Hero?
No, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're a band I know of them, and I think I have maybe 1 or 2 of their songs on a compilation where I bring up the compilations all the time that helped get me into metal. But I don't know. I've certainly never sat down and like listened to them. But I've had to have heard 1 or 2 maybe of their earlier like songs that were being pushed by a record label or whatever at the time, and made it onto a compilation. But that's the only thing I know about them at all, other than what Chris has told me over the years. So, okay, so that's Nght Party, and now we're gonna have some fun and talk about something else for a second. So, when we recorded last time, and actually also in the previous video, Raunchy video number 2, at the end of the video, I was talking about how, starting with this album, Raunchy is going to start doing something that I really like musically in all genres. And we spent a long time in the last video that we lost trying to explain what I was talking about. And so I'll try to be a little more succinct here. I like it when songs in any genre have a distinct lead musical part that repeats multiple times throughout a song. So it's kind of like it can still have a good catchy chorus, but like one of the hooks, if not the hook of the song, is a defined
Motif?
Nah. I mean,
No?
I guess, but not really. It almost more like a refrain than a chorus, which we've talked about that a little bit in the past.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
With Feel Good Inc., right? The part of the song where it keeps coming back to multiple times, where it's dun 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 dun, feel good. Like that happens multiple times throughout the song. Feel good is technically a lyric, but that is more of a refrain than a chorus. The chorus of that song is "Windmill, windmill for the land," and that happens twice. And it's clearly the chorus of the song. And there's lots of songs that do this and have this in it. And one of the things that I love about Raunchy, and in this particular song we just heard, there was that piano part at the beginning, that da 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 da, and it's a little less defined in this, but that part did come back a few times. And then also Raunchy does the thing where they'll have like a keyboard or a piano or something doing a part, and then the guitars come in, and everything is doing that, which is also something Chris has said he loves too.
Yep, I love that.
And one of my favorite examples of that on this album is the song Street Emperor. And so we're going to listen to that one next. But first, I want us to listen to a sample. So I'm going to bring up my foobar here. And I can't wait for you guys to see this. So we're going to record this in the video too. But I found out that foobar has visualization stuff built into it.
Oh
yeah.
And so we're going to be able to see some of the frequency responses to this stuff. Not that it's super accurate or anything, I'm sure.
I was going to say, I don't.
But
patent pen or a citation needed on that.
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier, and it does definitely adequately represent the frequencies that are happening, but it's not, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
are you doing this the spectrogram?
Because Winamp always did that, but
No.
I never was like, I don't know about what I'm seeing.
I'm going to
here."
do.
Right.
I'm gonna do. You'll see it in a second. It's not.
Okay.
It's just the bars of frequencies. But anyway, we're gonna listen to a compilation that I made, and we listened to this last time, so you guys will have heard this already. But maybe with all the conversation we had after that, you'll understand it a little bit better. And at the time in the last video, I know I had to explain this. I put this together really quickly, and I just basically sat for like an hour and thought of what song. I didn't do any prep for this. I just thought to myself, what songs are songs that have this that I'm talking about, this lead musical part that comes back multiple times and is sort of like the hook of the song. And so this is a compilation, roughly 5-minute compilation of just sort of pop songs and songs in general that do this. Some of it is stuff you will definitely recognize, and some of it is stuff that are just songs that I enjoy. And then what I try to do is sequence it in such a way that you, as it goes on, you're kind of like, okay, I see what's happening here. And so we're just going to give this a listen. And again, this is representing that musical part that is sort of a musical chorus, if you want to think of it like that, that happens multiple times throughout a song, where the focal point is sort of a lead instrument, a lead melody happening that is not in the vocals. Okay?
Okay.
So this is just a compilation. You guys ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1.
It's not oscilloscope
No.
or spectrogram. Spectrum.
Spectrum. Yes, a frequency spectrum. And so, Cody, you can look at the graph and see from left to right. It starts at, for mine, it starts at 50. I think depending on how far you have it extended out, it shows more or less. And then it goes all the way up to like the highest frequency I'm seeing here is 17K. So the first song was a Rasmus song going into. This is Cool Kids by Echo Smith. Something most people should recognize. Here's Gorillaz. Damon Albarn loves to do this. This is Rhinestone Eyes.
Sounds like a great song. I don't know enough Gorillaz.
I know. Just don't listen to him. We're going to do a whole Gorillaz thing on the channel eventually.
Okay.
And Chris Schoenberg's going to be part of it too.
I love that.
Nice transition.
Again, I just did it very quickly.
I was going to say that's Patrick's favorite thing in the world to do is make compilations.
I do really like this kind of thing, but I did not put a bunch of effort into like... I just had a stereo track, and I just did the edits on the track, so I didn't do any additional stuff to it.
Right.
And this is by the band Naked Eyes, one of my absolute favorite 80s bands. This is always something there to remind me. Information Society.
Look at all the 14K in that one. That's good stuff. Nice and high.
So this is a little different because it's kind of like a bass line, but it still fits what I'm talking about. And this is what, Chris?
Pendulum. I don't remember which song, but that's fine.
The Island, Part 1.
Oh, yeah, the best one.
Absolutely.
What
And that's saying
song.
something on that album.
Yeah. I need to listen to that album again. That's so good.
Remind me to tell you something about that album while we're done with listening to this. So I feel like this is really common in electronic music because you can have different sounds be the lead. Military Fashion Show by And One.
I can't tell you how much this sounds like B&B Nation.
Yeah. This song, 99 Left Balloons, the actual German version, not that stupid American version they made her record, by Nina.
There's like 40 versions. I think every
there's
country
two.
got one.
Nah. I wish that was true. That'd be awesome. Just a full hour-long album full of just this song with different... I love that. That'd be
Just
so
a whole section of Eurovision with just that song.
Yes. And this song has two in the same song. This part at the beginning, and then this part.
Yeah.
This is a weird song in general, though, because it's kind of just one part the whole time.
Yeah.
So, Oh, this is where I was talking about the GTA Vice City soundtrack.
I know this song.
This is You Are My Obsession by whoever that lady's name is. Der Kommissar. Not the stupid version by Taco or Falco.
This Falco doesn't do it.
Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, he does. And then this is Blur, Damon Albarn coming back around. Little Cody's Baroque pop for him.
Yeah.
This is very similar to that Beatles stuff we were listening to.
I need to listen to more Blur, I think.
Yeah, you do. And gotta end it on one of the greatest songs of all time. And one of the best examples of this.
A lot of these are from the 80s. I wonder if that was...
Again, I think it's because
Big
keyboards
band?
started to become a thing. Also,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a sec when this is done. You don't talk over aha. Okay, now we can talk. So, I think we had this conversation last time, but...
That's okay. I don't remember what we said last time, so...
That's all right.
It's
Nothing
not
wrong with
just
that.
me.
Yeah.
So what we talked about, and I can maybe formulate my thought better here. We talked about how long songs tended to be, and how in the 60s and before, they were pretty short because you had to fit them onto a 45. And then as it went into the 70s, things got a little bit longer, and that's of course when you start to get psychedelic rock and stuff, mid 60s and whatnot, into the 70s. But then when it got to be the 80s and the 90s specifically are very long number one hit songs. And we were talking about Rick Beato at the time in one of his videos, talking about how if you go back and you look at like the top 100 songs from each decade, the 90s is the longest songs. Like the longest number one hit
interesting.
songs were in the 90s. Second is the 80s. And like now is the shortest it's been since the 60s, which I mean, we're talking about a couple decades there in between, but like the 80s, people were a little bit, because the digital revolution in music happened and everything, it was hard drive space rather than tape to store stuff,
Yeah.
And so I think that there was a big shift and a ability to have much longer songs. And you're not going to do this thing that we're talking about if you have to have a short song, because you would essentially be making an instrumental song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're
you'd
going to
be
have
wasting 30 seconds of
right,
a
you'd be wasting
2-minute song.
Exactly. And so you don't want to have that's why, it's kind of interesting. Like one of the songs I was going to use for this was the beginning of My Girl by the Temptations, right? Dum dum da dum da da dum bum da.
Yeah.
But that kind of just repeats the whole time through the song. So it doesn't necessarily equate the same way. And there are certainly some examples of this from before then, before the 70s, before the 80s, of course. We were just talking about Tommy James and the Shondells. Like, they have some stuff like that in their songs. I'm sure the Beatles did it in a lot of their stuff, too. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly not only in the 80s and on, but I think once you got into more electronic music and digital recording, it was a lot easier to have something like this because you could just have longer songs. And then if you think about something like Nirvana or any of the stuff that was popular in the 90s, unless it was like diva singing type of thing, there was a lot of this happening in the 90s as well. And, even with like hip hop music and stuff, a lot of hip hop songs don't actually have a chorus. It's just like a musical part that repeats. And then there's maybe some scratching or some samples of stuff that happens, maybe just a few words repeated, and then it goes back into another verse, right? And so you could say the same, that this concept that we're talking about here of a lead musical part, the melodies happening in an instrument rather than a vocal, it could be applied to hip hop as well. But I think
90s electronic music was big for this too.
Absolutely. But a lot of 90s electronic music was instrumental, though.
Yeah.
Or at least, certainly the vocals were way less important, To me,
a lot of sampled vocals.
Exactly, or just like a few small vocals here and there. Exactly, like sampled stuff. And so I don't necessarily think it's the exact same thing, because I feel like this is an intentional choice by a band to say the vocalist is going to not do something here, and we're going to have the music be the featured melodic thing that's happening, and then it'll be kind of play back and forth with the vocals as well.
It's almost like a song and a half.
Yeah, it could be. Yes, I mean, it's like an additional section in a song that repeats a couple times.
Like, the vocalist gets their melody, but then the band also gets their melody.
But not just as a solo.
Right. It's not a solo, and a lot of the times it's also really simplistic, Yeah. Especially with all that 80s stuff, Dun, 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 dun 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 dun. Like that's so stupid simple. A lot of them are just this, one finger on the keyboard doing this, but it's so effective. And we talked about I actually made another one of these clips, like a montage sort of clip featuring just Depeche Mode songs, because they are the band that I started to notice that I personally gravitate towards music that has this feature in it. And they do it throughout their entire career. A lot more during the 80s and into the early 90s, with like Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence has that, A Policy of Truth. Those are all off their album Violator from 1991. But also like their huge songs that were behind the wheel, Never Let Me Down Again, the huge song from Last of Us Season 1. All of these songs, Question of Time, Question of Lust, Stripped, all those songs use this same thing. Like the core of the song is this repeating melodic instrument, and in this case, all those cases, it's a synth part or a guitar part in the case of Personal Jesus.
Which is interesting too, because I was just thinking how many, like that was also the era of when like song-based like commercial jingles were at their peak as well.
That's true. Yeah. Like a short, like you could cut that out and put it as a commercial and it would work perfectly. You put some words over it. And I think it just goes down to it being like a simple, catchy melody, And nowadays, music doesn't have that in the music. Pop songs nowadays, if you listen to Taylor Swift, some of her music has a little bit of a musical thing that you catch on to, but for the most, or we used Billie Eilish last time as an example with the Bad Guys. Like that is an example of this existing in today. But a lot of pop songs nowadays are just wall of sound. We call it mid-range soup. It's just this constant like woofy low thing in the background, and then just very succinct, enormous drums, and then pretty female voice over the top of it. Lorde is the best example of this.
So often, over and over, the most popular songs of the year are the simplest. Like, look at most of Beyonce's music and how much is actually happening in it, and it's like, it's almost a cappella sometimes, where there's just Taylor Swift little.
Yep. Yeah. Taylor Swift too. Billie Eilish is a little different because I think she does have a little bit more musicality to stuff. But you're absolutely right. And anyway, for whoever's watching this, thank you for watching. But the reason we're talking about this is because Raunchy does this a lot with their guitar riffs and their keyboard parts. And one of my favorite examples of that is the song Street Emperor, which is my favorite guitar riff of all time. So this song has what we were just talking about. It starts off with a very simple sort of like chorus affected guitar, clean guitar, and then everything you hear the melody part, and then everything comes in and it's massive and it feels huge and it's all doing that part. And then there's a verse and a chorus, and then it comes back to that part, and then another verse and a chorus and a bridge and a chorus, and then it ends with that part again. And that is the part of the song that I feel like you're constantly waiting for it to come back. That's when it feels like the song is changing keys, and at the end it comes back to where it started, and you're just like, right? You can let out the breath. It feels so satisfying to come back to it. And so let's go ahead and give that song a listen.
Did we listen to the song last time?
We did listen to this one. This is the one song we're going to listen to twice for sure. And the reason we're doing it is because it helps my point. And then also, Cody mentioned this last time, and I talked about doing this, and since we had time and we screwed it up, I made my own version of this song. And so we are going to listen to that after we listen to the original version of the song. And so last time we were talking about it, and we were listening to this album, and Cody was just like, I just think it's the metal part of it. This stuff would be so much better if it wasn't metal. Like, because I was talking about like, oh, these parts would be so cool if it was like synth bass, or if it was like a synthwave song or something. Because there's a lot of elements in Raunchy's music where if you take out the guitar and the bass, like the rock bass and the metal guitar, and you just have everything else left in there, you're left with basically a cool electronic song with drums, know? And so I tried to do that, and I'll talk more about what I did and everything after we listen to the song. But let's listen to the Raunchy's version of this first. And again, I want to let everybody know this is my number one favorite Raunchy song. This is my favorite guitar riff of all time, and I really adore this song. So let's give it a listen. See what you guys think. This will be your second time hearing it, but again, you can just however you're feeling, you could talk about it. This is Street Emperor, track 4 off of a Discord Electric. In 3, 2, 1.
I think Chevelle does this a lot.
Yes, that's a great example. I'm not super familiar with them, but from what I know of them, yes. 100%. Moving over to crash cymbals. Back to the hi-hat. And here comes that weird part.
I love the guitar in this. Yep. Great chorus. Great.
It's weird because I know this song way more intimately now than I ever did before. And so I'm listening to this and I'm just like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Like I know every word to this song now and every note to it.
When I did that fan cut of that movie a couple months ago, whenever it was,
Yep.
I know that movie front to back.
Yep, yep. When we listened to this the first time, Chris, you really pointed out that crazy synth in the middle that's like... Yeah. They did that on several songs on this album. You pointed it out. It's like a very chaotic, weird thing to have during a chorus, especially, too. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense contextually because the vocals are all on the sides. So, yeah.
I like what they do with synths on a lot of these songs we've listened
Yeah.
to, I think.
Yeah.
That always stands out to me.
Yeah. And again, you haven't heard a lot of music, but like a lot of metal. But like
Right.
a vast majority of metal has no keyboards. So
Right,
it would
yeah.
just be this without any of that cool stuff in it.
Yeah, it doesn't jump out to me as like a metal part.
Right. So this is the
I'm not
pre-chorus.
catching most of the lyrics in this,
Yeah.
but I know that if I ever hear any band sing a day of the week, that this song is pointless. It's almost anime.
Yeah.
Almost what?
Anime.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Back to it.
Yeah, parts like this just make... They go a long way to make a song memorable. Because I'm not going to remember any of the lyrics of this.
No.
Right.
But I'll remember this riff.
Yeah.
And then this warbly 90s guitar effect. The most 90s guitar effect of all time.
At some point, I have to point out, too. At some point...
Is that a fade out?
Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Yeah. This is the worst time for this to happen, but...
Oh, no.
No, you're fine. It's fine. I have to change my medicine real quick.
Oh, that's
So
perfect.
just-
I got to get up and do a thing.
Yeah, just chillax for a second. Okay, so we just took a smidge of a break there, but not too long. I changed my medication out. Yes, I do still have leukemia. Yes, Raunchy, I will still sign an NDA to hear the album early just in case I die during my transplant process. But you'd have to get me those files pretty dang quick because my transplant's coming up in about a month or so. But, you know, I'm still really looking forward to the album. You could say it's one of the things that's going to keep me clinging to life. So, just...
Yeah, we can't give it to you now, because then what will
That's
there be
true.
to
I need
live
to have
for?
something to... Well, GTA 6 is what I have to live
sure.
for. But other than that... And Horizon 3, too. And Red Dead Redemption 3, if they ever do that. But, I'm not going to hold my breath on Red Dead Redemption when GTA is around the corner. We got another decade before we get Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Die of old age.
Yeah, seriously. So last time when we were recording, we were talking about I told you guys how I was gonna do this video with Chris Schoenberg, the other guy on our channel where we do videos sometimes with him, and I was like, we're gonna talk about the raunchy riffs, the actual riffs and how they write riffs, and talk about why they sound similar to me, because there is definitely a signature raunchy riff sound, and we talked about that a lot in the video that was lost. And we're not going to unfortunately talk about it that much here, but that song that we just listened to, Street Emperor, to me is sort of one of the most clear examples of that raunchy riff that they go back to all the time, that feeling that they have in a lot of their signature guitar riffs. And we were talking about it and whatever, and so I had mentioned that I was going to do my own version of the song and just make it a really simple type, like synth pop type thing, so that Cody could get everything out of the song that he might be missing. Although that's not necessarily true, and I'm not that great. So what I did was, and this is going to be really fun because this is going to be the first time we will be talking about a song I made here on the channel. And so you guys can, first of all, you can ask me, first of all, you can critique the mix however you want, like 1,000,000%. And then also we can talk about how it was made, because I made it all. And so we can talk about it however you want after we listen to it. I will say my one set of criteria that I gave myself was I was not going to spend longer than 1 day on this. So everything you're going to hear, I made in 1 day. And when I say
Great.
1 day, I mean I started at 9 a.m. and worked till 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. the following day. So I worked all day.
Geez.
I took a hour, 2 hour break for lunch, and then an hour and a half break for supper or the evening meal, and then I watched a little bit of wrestling because whatever day it was of the week I don't remember, and then I forget the rest of the second half of wrestling and went and worked on this. And so it really interesting. So from a songwriting perspective, now I know this song better than any of Raunchy's other songs. This song is in the key of A minor, which we talked about before, being interesting because the key of A minor is relative to key of C major. C major, which, remember, in the key of C major, you only use the white keys. There's no black keys. There's no... Mm-hmm. There's no flats or sharps. It's all A natural, or C natural, D natural, E natural, F natural, G natural, A natural, B natural. Those are the 8 tones that fit within the key of, the key of C major. A minor is the relative key. So A natural, B natural, C natural, all the way back around to.
What does relative mean?
Every minor key has a relative major key, which means it has the exact same notes. We talked about this a lot last time, but so C major uses the exact same notes on the keyboard that A minor does. And we talked about the reasoning for that is the distance between the notes, how many half steps there are, and then what notes are flatted and what notes are sharped in a major or minor key based on how it works. And this is music theory, which is something I was terrible at and something you guys don't know anything about at all. So not something we can really explain too much. However, like I said, I did make this song. And so one thing that is interesting to note is that while the core riff, the main thing, the bum ba dun da dun dun da dun da 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 da, that is in A major. The chorus is in that is in A minor. The chorus hovers around D major and also C major a little bit as well. But there are some notes in the chorus that had to be flatted. And so when I was setting up my auto-tune, which I did use on this and use in everything that I record because I'm not a professional singer or professional anything, maybe professional audio engineer, whatever that means. But that just means I know how to use the tools to make myself sound better. So I had to change the actual key that the auto-tune was trying to move my notes to from A minor to D major. And then for some of the vocal harmony parts, I actually had to have it in C major in order for everything to work correctly. And so I know that that's a concept that's probably, no offense to you guys, like a little bit beyond you. It's beyond me. I don't really understand it, but I understand the premise of it, but like I can't sit here and tell you why without having to try to explain things for a half hour. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah, above my pay grade.
Exactly. And so another interesting thing to think about here, which is what we've been talking about in the metal video and all these raunchy videos, is why did I choose the sounds that you're going to hear, right? How did I go about the process of choosing every single thing you're going to hear in this? Why did I choose the kick drum and the snare drum and the hi-hats and the synth bass part and the lead synth part? And also, I think it will be interesting to talk about why did I sing the vocals the way that I did? Because for me personally, as a song performer, writer, whatever, my big thing is I don't think that I have a very good lead vocal voice. Or I haven't found my lead vocal voice yet, even after making music for 20 years. So when I set out to sing a song, or to record vocals for a song, I should say, it takes me hours to figure out the right way to even approach trying to do it. And one of the things I found with this song is the chorus, right, is supposed to feel way different than the rest of the song. When all those vocals come in and it's, oh, right, it's this huge floating over the top of everything. Oh, think I'll have to say, right? That part. That, with the metal song, that is so contrasting to what he's doing before that, doing the aggressive, lower pitched vocals, right? And this is what we were talking about in the metal video, Cody. Like, to me, one of the coolest things about metal is you get these startling contrasts to what's happening. Clean singing vocals are so different than someone going, you know? So like when you have a metal song and you have all those differences between the vocals, it's really cool to have these changes that happen. But if I were to sing the entire song the same way, I don't feel like it would have the same impact, or the impact the song is supposed to have. Does that make sense? And so what I ended up doing, and I did not set out to do this at all, what I ended up doing was a lower, like dark male vocal, like it's like all those German bands I listen to, Chris, like a Rammstein type. Although I would never say Rammstein. Like I was trying to channel Darrow from Oomph.
Yeah.
But it's definitely along that route for the verses, and then the chorus is that with a little bit of the raunchy thing that they do every now and then, where they have those like low type of clean sort of vocals that are in there that makes Chris Schoenberg roll his eyes. So let's just go ahead and listen to my version of the song, and then you guys can talk about it however you want. If you think it sounds terrible, please shred me to tiny bits. You know, that's the whole point of all this. I will say, I made the song, and when I was making it, generally when I make music, I have a compressor on the master bus, and then I put a limiter on the master bus, and I basically create the song with mastering plugins on it so that I can feel how everything is working compression-wise. And then depending on how I do it, if it's something that I would be releasing professionally, which I don't consider this to be that quality, I consider it to sound pretty good. I tried to make it sound as good as I could, but I don't consider this to be like this is my new single. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So like I didn't do this.
Yeah, you did only work on it for a day instead
One
of like
day.
a week.
And so what I did was I would take off all of those compression things, bounce the song down, load it into another track, do all of those things again, bounce it down, and then bring them into another track and do them all again, and futz with the sound and stuff to try to master it a bit. Instead, what I did with this was I left all those plugins on it, but I didn't have it set to the point where it was smushing it to high hell. I bounced it down, and then I brought it back in. I did the cross-pan delay mastering trick, which is the greatest mastering thing of all time. And then, which I'm not going to bother to explain, but if you want to, anyone can look it up, cross-pan delay. And then I compressed it a little bit more with a multi-band compressor, leaving the highs and the crispiness in there, leaving the super lows in there, compressing the smiley part a little bit, and then I put the same limiter back on it again, and then compress the snot out of it. So that was the process of the mastering, because I know we talk about that all the time. It's a nebulous thing. I have all the lyrics right here in the booklet, and I use this microphone to record the vocals. I sat here. Not like this, but I had to take all my equipment over to the other side of the room, and I was doing it like this. I didn't print out the words. I was doing it like this, looking at the words here, and doing it like this. So let's listen to the song, and then you guys can, however you want to approach it.
All right.
So this is Street Emperor Day 1, mastered-ish by me. I put my name there so everyone can see it, but you guys don't have a thing. Also, because I started to say this earlier, you're going to have to turn the volume of this up, probably like 6 to 10-ish dB, because I don't have it professionally mastered. So you're going to want to turn it up, and yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.
My version of Street Emperor, intentionally making it with parameters set so that you guys would get for this project, okay?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
I'm not the preacher here. If I could reach, I would reach into the belly of the beast and feast on the sex and sin.
Oh yeah, the lyrics also not my favorite lyrics ever.
Yeah, when you can understand them, that they're a little weird.
Yeah.
And taste what I have to give.
That synth is so funny.
The greatness of the flesh we are made of. Your taste will haunt me in my dreams, and I'll touch you sweetly. Your rapture, this dirty devotion, the gloom of man.
The uprising, the dragon's fire, Saturday vultures with high-class fever. I got a secret you all want to know.
I know a lot of people who wish they could make music that sounds this good.
Just might get my way. let's fight. Let it out, see the change.
Why did you make this?
Just away. Let it out just to change. Come here, let me take you away to
Yeah, I don't know how you would do the two different vocal styles, aside from like a male and a female in the same song. In a
Right.
pop song like this.
Yep, to have a low and a high, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
This is almost B-52s.
The dragons fire. Saturday vultures with high class fever. I got a secret you all wanna know. Just take your clothes off.
It just might get my way. So let's fight. Let it out, see the change. Yeah, just away.
This is great.
Let it out just to change.
Try to forget that nothing waits in the dark. But won't you rather be gone? Get up now, everyone falls. Try to forget that nothing waits in the dark.
This is like when the on Corridor Crew, when they do their challenges and they have like a day to do whatever.
Now everyone
I cannot hear you at all, Chris. I'm so sorry. Please keep saying what you're saying, though. I'm just agreeing with you.
waits in the dark. And don't you grab to gone what was in our hands before.
I will always love covers. What did we listen to from? Was it from Raunchy that they did? Somebody's Watching You, or was that?
Somebody's watching me.
Yeah. I will always love covers done in a different genre.
Different genre, 100%.
I just might get my way.
There's that pan delay. Which is great. Rad.
I just might get my way. For a little while. So let's fight. Let it out, see.
Hey, I like your vocals just as much or better than the Raunchy guy.
That's good. However, you hate the Raunchy guy, so that's a low bar.
True.
I think they'd love this if they heard it. Just left that in.
Big cigars. Copenhagen. That's raunchy for ya.
I can't help myself. I have to put stupid talking and stuff at the end of every song. I just have
That's so funny.
Hey, that's good.
Very. I was saying earlier it's like when the Corridor Crew does like a daily like a challenge where they have to make like the most satisfying video or whatever in a day.
Yeah.
Like it is exactly on the same level of quality as everything that they do when they do that. Like
Well, that's
it's
really
very
great
good.
because they're
Yeah,
really
it's
awesome.
very good.
So it's hard to talk about something that I made from your guys'
So-
perspective. You can
so as far
totally
as the-
say
The whole
whatever you
the whole
want.
goal of this was to see what this would sound like with those melodies in a different genre, and I think it totally works.
Oh yes.
Like as the whole riff turned into a synth part like that it's awesome.
Right.
Even with that stupid toy synth sound, which
Right.
I love.
Yeah.
Yes.
I genuinely love it. It still is like, no, this is great. This song is super catchy regardless.
Yep. What I was going for was a combination of 80s Depeche Mode, Oomph, which I know you guys don't really know, and One, which is also you guys don't really know. But like those three things basically work together, and that was what I was going for. And it was my intention when I started to do the entire song with a high, like the chorus is that oh, like that part. So in order for me to do that, I had to keep it basically the way it was in the song, right? Where he's doing it, he's got multiple vocal harmonies and stuff, and so that's what I did. And it was my intention to do the whole song that way. So instead of doing it the oh, another preacher here like that, I would go another preacher here, right? Something like that. But what I found was it just did not work. It didn't work because then the chorus was like nothing. The chorus, there's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, which, I mean, duh, that's what the metal gives you, right? That's what the point of metal is, to have the not all of it, but like to have the juxtaposition of those things.
Yeah.
And the reason that chorus is so shocking when it kicks in the raunchy version is because it goes from one thing to something completely different. And even every single time the chorus happens in that raunchy song, it's the exact same. Everything goes away and the guitars go dun 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 dun. Those aren't the exact notes. I was just doing Green Day or whatever there. But like it's that pattern, and every single time everything stops and they're just doing those stabs, and then it's to the bone da 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 dun da 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 da, like when everything gets happy again all of a sudden. And so what I did for that, and I would not necessarily normally do this every time, but I kept. Did you think that felt slower or faster than the raunchy version?
It seemed about on the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know
guess
it's hard to tell.
I guess slower.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. So I kept it identical.
Okay.
I did what for the purpose. I would maybe have made it a little shorter or a little slower, but I kept it identical for the purposes of this video, so that it was like not necessarily as one-to-one as possible, just changing the sounds, but kind of doing that just to get the point across of like if you just make the guitar's a synth part, it becomes a synth song. You know? And so I kept it the exact same. I did futz with the structure a smidge in terms of adding little parts here and there, and I extended the intro one extra time before everything kicked in. But, you know, it was interesting to learn one of their songs so well. It's way simpler than I thought it was going to be, which is generally the case with stuff. Whenever I try to learn something on the guitar that is an existing thing, I always am like, oh man, this is so simple. Now I'm not trying to play Dream Theater, you know, but like when like even sometimes I'll write something on the piano or something, and I'm like, oh, this is so simple, but I'll never be able to play this on the guitar. And then it's like, shoot, they put the notes on the guitar in the exact right place for you to be able to play this easy. You know, it's so silly. And so sort of the same thing happened here, where it's like, what I did was for the purposes of this, I didn't really do much of my own expression in this. I literally went through the entire song, and other than some structure things, I made the synth bass that you were hearing there, which is a combination of a synth bass and then just a more straightforward bass that was in the middle. The synth bass was panned left and right wide with a stereo delay. And I made the bass line exactly what the guitars and the bass were doing throughout the entire raunchy song. So it was it was identical, and the vocals, I changed the rhythm of them a little bit to make it fit a little bit more with what I was doing, because his vocal rhythms are a little weird, because he's doing the shouting yell type thing, and also the raunchy song really changes from section to section within the verse, because it feels heavy at first and then stuff goes away and it comes back, and I didn't necessarily follow that to the letter. I did make the drums go away and come back at times, and it just kind of I tried to do it in what I thought was a little bit more stereotypical for like a song that would sound like I was going for, though, like a synth pop, synth wave type thing. And so I did. The only thing I added that was completely different was that lead part in the synth during the chorus. The dun da 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 dun da 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 da. That doesn't happen in the song at all, in the raunchy song. So I added that because I thought the chorus needed something else in it the second and third time it happened to make it feel like the song was building, rather than just copying and pasting the chorus, which is essentially what it is in the raunchy version, except on the third and final chorus in the raunchy version, he does these like sort of improvised vocal runs over the top of it, where he's doing these whole like crazy like shouting stuff.
So did you feel like the raunchy version was missing that, or is it?
No, my version
Okay.
didn't feel like it was building to anything, and so I added that in the second and third time. And like I said, I put my limit to the day, and I was like dead, and I couldn't work on it anymore. And so I was like, okay, master it a little bit, and then that's it. But like listening to it, there's like 50 things I would go in and tweak a little bit here and there, and do this and add a crossfade there, and this here and that. But like, as far as it goes, I would consider it to be pretty good sounding, I think. I haven't.
You totally accomplished what you were setting out to do.
for sure.
Right. And like you said, Chris, for like just one day. And also, I have to say, I don't make music all the time. Like last year, I made one song that's a full song. And then I worked on probably the first half of like maybe 6 or 7 other songs. And that spread out over the entire year. The year before that, I would say I did around the same amount. So it's not like it took me hours of singing to get warmed up to the point where I could do anything that sounded even halfway decent. So, but yeah, it was interesting. It was a learning experience. I don't want to dwell on it too much. This is exactly what I think it served its purpose. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now
I think people will like it too.
yeah, well, again, that wasn't necessarily the point of this. I'm not planning to release that or anything. If someone wants to cut it out, although our talking will be over it. So, look, I guess I could, if Raunchy, comment on this video and let me know if I have permission to like give people a free download of that, if you guys are okay with that. Because I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you
I
for
think they'd
permission.
love it.
Hey, why don't you drop the MP3 in Discord when you post the thing, and then if someone wants to hear it, they go sign up with the Discord.
Well, I could do that, but now that you said that, Raunchy could sue me and take me to.
They will not.
I hope. I don't think they would. I think they can tell I love them. Not
think
that love has anything to do with a lawsuit. But
Based on my vast YouTube experience, I don't think anybody cares about covers.
no, you're right. You're
It's a
right.
cover. You're not making money.
Not in any
We don't
way.
make any money on anything, but
Yeah.
there's rules and stuff. And
You did give me. This helps me think about metal in a way that is kind of difficult. Is how is metal different? More of our
Okay.
what is metal conversation,
Yes.
and maybe this would have been good to play in the what is metal conversation as well. Because just hearing that and then hearing a non-metal version of that, it kind of reinforces what I feel about metal, I think. But
Okay.
but I also, in that, I think I like that better.
Right.
And I would listen to more music like that than I would listen to more of this
Before you
album.
would listen to more of the album, yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, yes, I agree with that, obviously, and because it's your opinion. but also, like, to me, the other way to look at it, though, is like what you just heard that you did like is the same song.
I know, yeah. And it's kind of hard to reconcile.
Right. It literally is the sounds that you
Yeah.
don't care for. You know what I mean?
Apparently, yeah.
And I feel like that's an interesting thing, and it's an important thing for people to understand. You know, not necessarily you in general, but just like
Sure.
for me, I've said it in every single video. Like the thing I listen to is like, what sounds did the band decide to use? Why do the guitars sound the way they sound?
Yeah.
Why like I made that song with so many limitations that no other artist would have today because they have better equipment than me. I only had access to one kick drum patch, like one kick drum. I could choose the kick drum and the snare drum, but like there's no layering of drums. That was one kick that I chose and tried to make it sound as good as possible. One snare, like one hi-hat. I have one drum machine and only one instance of that drum machine. And I programmed every drum you heard with a mouse and holding the control button and clicking where it goes on a thing. And I did not. You can highlight stuff, and then there's a setting called Humanize where you set a percentage of. So like, say I wrote out the drums for an entire song, right?
Is it basically the opposite of quantizing it, I assume?
Yes, it's making it humanized. So like what it does is it slowly you set a percentage. So you say like, I want this to be like 20% humanized. What it does is it moves the velocity, which is the attack of every note, like the volume and the attack of every note, and the timing of every note, and it moves it like 30% of the notes off just a little bit.
Oh.
And so what it does is it makes it sound like a human's playing it. I did not do that on this intentionally. This is every single thing right to a grid. Straight to a grid at 140 beats per second, which is what this song is at. And 140 beats per minute, not beats per second. That is a fast-ass song.
That's a
140 beats per minute. The other way to say that would be, 170 beats per minute. They probably recorded it at 140, but some of the parts were also probably programmed and recorded at 70 instead of, which 70 is 70 to 90 is like pretty stereotypical hip hop tempo. 90 to maybe 120 also in there, but like 120 very famously is Staying Alive, which is your heart beats at theoretically like the 2 beats per second, right? Or 2 per like
so 60.
Yes,
roughly.
right. So like 60 is the natural rhythm of the average human body. So what they always say when you're staying alive is what you should do when you're doing compression. So staying alive. Like, but you can't do it fast like I just did. You have to
You gotta know the
staying
tempo
alive.
first and not speed it
1
up.
Mississippi, 2
Or else the
Mississippi.
most
Not
ironic thing
staying
of all
alive, staying
time
alive.
is to say staying
Now
alive
you're dead,
too
now you're
fast
dead.
and kill
If
the
you say it
person that you're
faster,
trying.
it works better.
Yeah, you bring them back faster. But the point is, you're supposed to be like the natural rhythm, And so this is 140, so definitely faster than that, but not super fast like a lot of metals, like 210 or something ridiculous. But also, you have to remember every tempo can be halved or doubled based on what part of the song you're on and what you're doing. So it's the same tempo. It's just whether you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Well, it's like if a double kick drum kicks in, it's not that the tempo is increasing. It's just they're
Playing
playing
faster notes.
twice as fast.
Yeah, fill in
Exactly.
the gaps.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so now we're going to end this video. I didn't want this video to be this long. I'm sorry, everybody. But we are going to end this video with a song you guys have not heard. Let me bring up Spotify again, so my mic's going to start going.
It hasn't stopped.
Although I know
It's
that's
all
not
right.
what it sounds like.
It doesn't do that.
Yeah. So this if it did, it'd be awesome. It would sound like so we are going to listen to Blueprints. What's the song called? I can't see it yet. Blueprints for Lost Sounds. And this is a good one to end on because it's weird, very different, good song. A little bit more progressive in the way that it's structured. And I mentioned last time, this is one of the sort of 2 or 3 songs on here that is sort of Old West inspired. We did not listen to any of them. Maybe the Great Depression a little bit last time, which if you remember, the Great Depression was that da 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 da, and then da 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 da, which you guys have no clue what I was just doing. But that's the one that one was, where the aliens landed and attacked at the end of it, and it was like pew 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 like that. Anyway, this is Blueprints for Lost Sounds. We'll just listen to it, and then you guys can give us your thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next video.
All right.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. This song features someone on harmonica.
It
I
sure
don't know how
does.
there's a harmonica song on this, and you didn't make us listen to this originally.
Make sure you turn your volumes down,
Yeah.
or else
It's gonna
it'll
blow it
smash you.
apart. Great combo, metal with the harmonica there.
Yeah, I like that.
In this moment.
Yeah, this is the most different any Raunchy vocal sounds across their whole discography. This part right here, I love it.
Talkin does some of this too. This is great.
Here we go. love it.
I mean, the Western element of this pretty much disappeared with the harmonica, right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
The lyrics are a little Western-y, but
It's almost like an emo guitar thing that's happening here.
yeah, that synth in there.
Love this vocal. What an odd chorus.
Very weird. Yeah. So heavy.
There's a guy in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas who sings kind of like that.
Interesting.
Shouty
Okay.
style, yeah. He's the weird looking one, but that doesn't help you.
It's like almost reversed, you know? Which it might be.
It might be one of the layers. Need to do more reverb stuff.
Oh, I love that little pause there. And it goes right into the next song after that, which is one of the ones we listened to last time. So, quite a bit different there, huh?
Yeah, that's different. At first, I wasn't a huge fan, but it started to grow on me in the last third, probably.
Yeah.
It was just so... I don't know, the verses weren't my favorite thing. The chorus is still pretty cool, though.
Oh, see, I love the verses. That it's so heavy. Just I love it. So the structure of that song is really interesting. It's like verse, 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 chorus, bridge, chorus, 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 out, and the intro, and then the intro and the outro are the same as well. So like much more progressive structuring, but also just less pleasant for sure. Like
Yeah.
much more sort of thoughtful and like like less fun.
Yeah.
But again, I don't see that as a bad thing. Like I think it's kind of cool, and like this in some ways this is the most Depeche Mode song because Depeche Mode, people credit them for helping to start Gothic music. They're a big influence on a lot of Gothic bands. Where Depeche Mode really not super Gothic-y, but like they are a sad band, even though a lot of their songs, especially in the 80s, sound very happy. And but they were singing about all sorts of like depressing stuff, and there's a lot of, I mean, they sing about Princess Diana, and blasphemous rumors for the coolest surround sound song I've ever heard in my life. It's a phenomenal mix. And so there's just some interesting, this is an interesting, different Raunchy song, and I like it. And I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. I think this is a little bit more indicative of what we're going to hear when we listen to Vices, Virtues, Visions All Around, except mainly in the fact that like they weren't afraid to be different from song to song and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also it's a much more progressive album in that there's weird song structures. They might only do the chorus twice. There's a 4-minute section in the middle of a song here or there or whatever, like different in that regard. Not all the songs are like less as unapproachable. Not that this one's not approachable, but like there's unsettling stuff almost in this song. Whereas
it's not the first song I would take to somebody I was trying to get into the band.
Right, and exactly that's why we didn't listen to it last time.
Right.
We listened to 7 other songs on this album, and we skipped the 4 or 5 that we didn't listen to, and this is one of them. And I mentioned this one because I said it had harmonica and it was a little bit more old westy inspired, especially the spaghetti sort of sounding guitar at the beginning there, the bang, bang, bong, bang, and then the dum, 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 like so cool. So yeah, that's a Discord Electric, you guys. Cool. And by you guys, I mean everybody watching. We this is now the 5th hour we've talked about this album, and the first 3 were really great. So like I said, it is what it is. I'll try to include stuff from that video in this video, and we'll just leave it here because we have something really fun we're going to do next. We are going to go right into doing this album, and I am so flippin' excited for you guys to hear it. I was listening to it on my computer before we started this, and I just think that it sounds phenomenal. I was listening to we're going to listen to, well, whatever. We'll get into that in the next video. But do you guys have any final thoughts on Discord Electric? I know we didn't really talk, we spent probably an hour and a half in the last version of this video talking about how this album relates to the other albums in their catalog and comparing it to everything else we'd heard and everything. We didn't do that in this video because we did that last time. And so this is a little bit more like take a section out, analyze it for what it is, add my song in there to talk about it from a perspective of what if you changed this song to make it something completely different. But the same. And so it's a different little video to fit in this series of videos, and I'm pretty happy with how this went. I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, my takeaway was going to be it's up to the next album to be better than this one, or else this one's the best.
Yep. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear this. I'm so excited for everybody watching this video to see that video as well. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Raunchy, send me the files for the new album. I want to hear them. I've got cancer. I could die. I mean, we could all die at any moment, but I guess I'm higher risk than most people. So, let me know. And everyone else that watched this video, thank you so much. We had a couple of comments on the first video saying Raunchy is one of my favorite bands. Thank you for taking the time to talk about this. I also have to mention that we recorded a Dream Theater reaction since the last time we did this as well. And that video went fantastic. And every comment on that video is fantastic. Everyone
best fan base, I think.
That's great.
I think so, which is crazy because I would not have set that up in advance. We'll have to let Tool. We'll see how
that
Tool
doesn't really
fans
surprise me.
I don't know.
I was making a joke. It didn't surprise you though, Chris?
No, not really.
Okay.
Dream Theater fans seem to be very sort of quiet, contemplative bunch. I think that they're just happy to.
I mean, that's their music essentially.
Yeah.
So. So yeah, that was fun, and we've got to do more Dream Theater now. Like everyone's so excited for us to do images and words, and if people are recommending other stuff. Everybody wants us to do Opeth. Every other comment is, you guys need to react to Opeth, Opeth, Opeth. They're like, you said you want a band like this with distortion and darker. You just described Opeth.
Okay.
But I'm like,
okay.
Everyone's like, you just got to pick the right album, because Cody, Opeth is a band that's been around forever. They're very famous. And the only thing I know about them is that they have like periods of their career where like, here's where they didn't do any clean singing. Here's where they didn't do any screaming. Here's where they used no keyboards. Here's where they were like a punk band. I don't think they ever did that. But like, here's where they made show tunes. Like, you really have to pick the album you want to do. And so I've been asking people who comment that, like, which album should we do? And we'll make sort of a consensus thing. And we will do Opeth eventually. So, but anyway, Raunchy out.
Yep.
For now. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you in the next video where we are talking about, I think, honestly, one of the greatest albums I've ever heard.
Now, hold on. I got something, too. Okay. All right.
A couple of things, yeah.
Okay. So I went to Goodwill, and I got this talking alarm clock.
Oh, God.
Pyramid. And it came in the box. The styrofoam was all like melted to it. So I gotta clean that off.
So brand new is what you're saying.
It's like,
Wow.
I don't know how that happened. No, there's no battery in it. But so I put a battery in, and it sounds like this. And if I push it and hold it, there's a secret hidden feature. I'll move it away from the mic. That's the alarm clock sound. It's a rooster. It does have a clock on the bottom.
I love that.
But like mid to late 80s, I think. It is digital. I thought when I bought it was going to be one of those things that like uses a weird mechanical like tape reader or something, like a disc or something in there, but it's just digital. So
that reminds me,
yeah,
one time when I was a kid, my sister had a talking alarm clock, and we're talking like she was younger than 10 probably, and it went off in the middle of the night for some reason, not like late, just like when we're all doing stuff. It's like 7 or 8 p.m. or something, and she had a total crisis. Like she thought that her room was haunted because there was just a voice coming out of the room.
Dude, a few years ago, I went into my mom's basement, and there was making noise down there. Now, keep in mind, the stuff that goes in this basement goes in there and is like never moves, and nobody ever goes down there. So I was digging around. There was like a thing making like beeping noises. I pulled out. It was a Tiger Electronics handheld game that I haven't played since like 1998.
Wow.
And the batteries apparently were still good, and it was like malfunctioning and making noise.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Anyway. Nope, that's all I got. Yeah, I was picking up a home theater receiver today, so
nice.
I'm in the process of setting that up. That was like $20. So if that ends up working, it'll be great. But
yeah,
there's a chance that it won't. So Denon.
Ooh, there's a good chance it'll work then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
how relevant to what I'm going to show off, which I don't have over here. 1 second.
I feel like, yeah, blurring is worse than just cutting it. Yeah.
So I don't know if I told you about the video I found recently of that guy who made that laser home theater system. Okay, so he basically took the optical cable, the optical port, the LED, and he used like a DAC, like Toslink converter, but instead of using the LED, he swapped in a class 1 laser pointer laser, and it basically like strips the power out of the signal, and it just sends audio signal the way that the optical port does, but it does it via laser, so you can like send audio signal like across the house. And if you just put a little Toslink receiver on the other end of it, then you can make all of your speakers wireless.
But it has to be like line of sight.
Yes, but
Wow,
he
okay.
has, but he designed a bunch of speakers specifically for this laser home theater system, and it's the coolest video in the whole universe. But the center channel that he built, so all of these speakers have their own internal like crossover boards and amps because there doesn't have any power from the speakers or from the receiver. And so they're all self-powered, active, and they all have their own crossover boards. And so he's got the center channel that houses a bunch of different little gubbins, and the lasers all fire up out of the center channel onto the ceiling where he has these little lasers, these little mirrors that he set up. So you can hook up lasers, and then it just shoots down into the top of the speaker so nobody can cross the line of sight and break the beam. And his speaker designs, it's really cool. It's so cool. But his speaker designs that he did for this are actually fantastic. Like they're really great. He's like, I made this design, and you can put these 12-inch drivers that I sourced in it, and this little 4-inch driver will go down to 35 hertz because of the way that I've designed the speaker. And so I was like, well, then I shall have these. And I bought the plans that he designed for it to 3D print these speakers. And I've been working on a set, and I've got one done,
Cool.
and this is it.
Oh wow. That
And
looks
the
awesome.
system for the low, so this is, high, mid, and then this is the sub. But because of the way that this is designed, the sub is, so this is the out port for the sub, but it runs through these tubes. So it's sealed and it's divided right here. And then it comes down this across and back up. The airflow does. And because of the way that this tube system is set up, that's what he was like, this will go down to 35 hertz. This will, because of the tube system. And the way he does it in the video, he's got like a 6-foot long twin acrylic tubes that he put in. And I was like, well, I'm not going to source any of that. I don't need that mess. And so I
Got
printed
a
all
series
of this.
tubes going around your ceiling.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just for the
It's just
speaker
really
itself.
cool. Yeah.
But it's like, 6 feet, and it's like, that's way too high for couch sitting. Anyway, I made the first set of these I just had one set of tube length. And then I was testing them yesterday, day before. And I was like, okay, the low end's kind of missing, but these otherwise sound pretty good. But I was like, but I know that these are technically designed for these tubes to be like 6 feet long. So I printed an extra length, and then I designed this little rubber coupler for the middle to go between them. And I tested the twin one versus the single. And I'm telling you what, that low end is different. There's more bass, and you can hear it louder. And so it's like, if I wanted this to have even more bass, I could just make another set and make them taller. And I'm actually building these for a friend who asked me to help her get a home theater put together. So I've got these basically designed just as passive now. They don't have any of the internal bits. There's just a crossover in here inside on the back end of this thing. And, to separate high, medium, and low. And then otherwise,
Wow.
great.
That's awesome.
I've got this one's done. I got another one done. And yeah, I've got a center channel that just needs some drivers put in it. But moving right along.
Nice looking design too.
I know, it's really, really, really sweet.
Amazing.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm looking forward to like making a bunch and just selling them to people who want them. I might talk to the guy, and I was thinking, would I have to talk to him in some way about like using his design to sell to others? But I thought if I could just tell people to go to his website and pay $10 for the files to make them,
make it.
then it's the same thing.
Right,
And I'll
yeah.
just have them do that instead.
Huh.
Fantastic.
We made it before 10.
Amazing.
All right.
And we will end the video with the clip of Cody's thing. Going,
All
and all of us laughing and no one being able to hear me.
It's so convenient to check the time.
How else can you learn the time that slowly?